Let's take a look at Donald Trump's comments on the issue of infrastructure at his State of the Union speech.
I am asking both parties to come together to give us safe, fast, reliable, and modern infrastructure that our economy needs and our people deserve. Tonight, I'm calling on Congress to produce a bill that generates at least $1.5 trillion for the new infrastructure investment that our country so desperately needs. Every federal dollar should be leveraged by partnering with state and local governments and, where appropriate, tapping into private sector investment to permanently fix the infrastructure deficit, and we can do it. We will build gleaming new roads, bridges, highways, railways, and waterways all across our land, and we will do it with American heart, American hands, and American grit.
Well, guess what? Just like with TPP, how he was a fraud, on infrastructure, he's a fraud too. Why do I say that? Well, the International Business Times had a great article, I guess a few months ago now, where they laid out some details of the preliminary ideas that were being floated on how to address infrastructure. And what happened was, Donald Trump, of course, appointed Gary Cohn and Steve Mnuchin and other Goldman Sachs executives to his administration. And just like he told them, go ahead, you guys write the tax plan, and they did, and Gary Cohn literally presented the first draft of the tax plan. That's how much Trump doesn't care about the details, and he just let Goldman Sachs write his tax plan. It's the same thing with infrastructure. So if you heard in his comments there, Trump said, oh, yeah, we're going to do infrastructure. It's going to be great. We're going to look after the roads, bridges, yada, yada, yada. But he also said, and we're going to partner with the private sector where necessary to fix this stuff forever. Oh, so in other words, the real plan is, yes, update infrastructure, but privatize it and turn it over to Goldman Sachs. That was the heart of the story that the International Business Times released. Now, remember, Gary Cohn got over a $250 million exit bonus on the way out from Goldman Sachs. First of all, who the fuck gets an exit bonus? If you left your job and they go, hold on, we just want to give you $130,000. What? No, that would never happen. Of course it would never happen. But why did it happen with Gary Cohn? And why was it over $200 million? Well, the answer is Goldman Sachs wanted that tax plan because it saves them a tremendous amount of money. But also, they want this infrastructure deal where we privatize large swaths of our infrastructure and hand it over to Goldman Sachs. So now, early on when I said, hey, maybe you work with Trump on infrastructure, the answer is hell no. We're not going to work with you on infrastructure when your brilliant idea is to privatize infrastructure. That's a terrible idea. No, we don't want you to privatize infrastructure. Just so everybody knows, once it's privatized, well, then they're going to charge you out the wazoo. People complain now about, when you go over a bridge, you got to pay a toll or whatever. Can you fathom a situation where roads and bridges are privatized and every time you turn onto a new street, they nickel and dime you? Because that's what'll happen. Who the fuck trusts Goldman Sachs, a criminal organization where their business model was fraud? Who the fuck trusts them? Yeah, turn it over to them, everything will be good. FDR's rolling over in his grave right now, looking at what's happening here. And listen, again, one of the more frustrating parts of this is Trump has now made it so it appears to people who don't follow politics closely, the Republicans are the party that wants to do something about infrastructure and the Democrats are not. So I haven't heard Democrats, go out in the media or give their own speeches, other than Bernie, of course, where they say, we need to do a New Deal. We need to do a New Deal, and we need to do it right now. Our infrastructure gets a grade of D+. Here's how we're going to move forward. Here are the plans. Here's how many roads and bridges we're going to fix. Here's what we're going to do with our airports. The Democrats aren't talking about that. So now you made it so that Trump seemingly outflanks you on your left on this issue, which means politically that will go over as a win for him. Now, again, you're relying on the ability of the American people to listen to the nuance and the detail of what Trump says, because he admits there that what he wants to do is the wrong thing when he talks about privatizing. But you can't rely on people who don't follow this stuff closely to understand exactly what that means. They just hear, oh, he wants to update our roads and bridges and give people jobs, and that's great. I agree with that. So how pathetic are the Democrats? Trump has outflanked them to their left in his rhetoric on infrastructure and seemingly looks like the more populist candidate again. And by the way, he did this at one other point in his speech too. He spoke about paid time off. What? What? Paid time off? I haven't heard any Democrats talk about that. Every other modern country gets paid time off by law. Donald Trump mentioned that in his speech. So again, there's an issue. He outflanked you on your left. Hey, idiots, this is how you lost the Rust Belt. The Rust Belt is largely white working class people who vote for populist candidates who say, hey, I know you were a factory town and you lost all your jobs, but I'm going to look out for you now. Well, if Trump's the one who's saying, I'm against outsourcing, I'm for an infrastructure deal, I'm for paid time off, they're going to go, I guess Trump's more populist. This is why the Democrats lose. This is why they lose. You have to be an effective resistance. All of you should be out there now talking about Gary Cohn, the corrupt deal he made, the privatization of our infrastructure, which is terrible for people. And also you should be saying, their plan is wrong, here's our plan. New deal. We're not going to privatize shit. We're not going to turn it over to vulture capitalists. We're going to do it the old-fashioned way, the FDR way. We're going to do a new deal. It's going to be a multi-trillion-dollar investment, and we're going to make our country be number one in infrastructure. We want an A-plus infrastructure. We want to beat every other country. High-speed rail, all of it, you name it. But none of the Democrats are talking about that. None of them are even pointing out Trump's sly trick of talking about infrastructure, but then saying, and privatize it. None of them are even pointing that out. How maddening is that? So, yet again, terrible failure. I think what frustrates me so much is if the media and the Democrats focused on policies and what Trump was saying and breaking it down specifically, nobody would walk away from this going, oh, Trump is right. Once they hear the breakdown, the logical explanation as to what Trump is really saying, what he really wants to do, what his beliefs actually are, and what the Democrats say they want to do in response, once they get that, they'll go, oh, so that guy's full of shit. And, the Democrats are better. Even though many of them are corporate and all that, hey, they're still better. So it's just sad. It's just so sad. Nobody's pointing that out. Not even Bernie pointed out the Goldman Sachs thing. The signs right now are there will be mixed results in 2018. And the signs right now, even though Trump is, his approval rating is very low at the moment, there could be a race in 2020. There could be a race. It could be a race. It could be a toss-up between him and the Democrat. Anything can happen. They underestimated him once. I mean, the same people that underestimated him every step of the way are now saying it's a guarantee he loses in 2020. You said it was a guarantee he didn't win the first debate. Then you said it was a guarantee he didn't win the second debate. Then you said it was a guarantee he'd never win a caucus. Then you said it was a guarantee he'd never win a primary. Then you say it's a guarantee he'd never get the nomination. Then you'd say it's a guarantee he'd never become president. Now you're saying it's a guarantee he won't win in 2020. Have you learned nothing? The answer is yeah, they haven't learned anything.